It's always interesting, right? The twists and turns. So right now we were expecting to get a verdict. I expect we will get that verdict very shortly. But you heard what the judge said there. She said to the jury, when there's a defamation case before you, and in this case, Johnny Depp is suing Amber Heard for $50 million for defamation for a Washington Post editorial that she wrote, opinion piece, claiming essentially that she was a victim of sexual abuse. So he sued her for $50 million. She countersued for $100 million. And the judge saying, you've got to fill out this form. You have to say, each jury, what you expect the payment to be. And she said it has to be at least $1 if you find for defamation in this case. So we'll see how long this takes them to come up with a number. And let's bring in attorney Brian Claypool, who joins us now. Brian, I'm not quite sure how the jury instructions didn't include that this needed to be part of what they had to come back with when they said they were done. What do you think?
Yeah, hey, Martha, great to be with you. Thanks for having me. I mean, what this tells me is that somebody won. Either Johnny Depp or Amber Heard won their claim, because the trial judge would not be asking the jury to go back and fill in a number if the jury found that there was no defamation. So somebody has won, and my inclination is that whoever won isn't going to be awarded a lot of money, or they might be awarded nothing, Martha, because what the jury might have done is they might have found, for example, that Amber Heard defamed Johnny Depp, but they don't award any damages, right? Because they don't think that what she did caused Depp to lose his part in Pirates of the Caribbean 6.
So they could come back, but she just said, you know, it has to at least $1 if you're making a decision in this. And we know from prior defamation cases that regardless of what the suit is for, they can come back at pretty much any amount they want. And what do you think? What do you think they might do? Because we've watched these two. We know that there's a lot of craziness on both sides. I mean, and I've heard people say, I think they should, give him $1, give her $5. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, you just made an excellent point, Martha. And based on what you just said, I do believe unequivocally that the jury has found in favor of either Depp on his claim or Heard on her claim. And I think that what the jury is struggling with is, if you remember in closing, both sides said it wasn't about the money. So they've got to put a few dollars on there. Maybe that's what they're doing.
Yeah. We know that they tried this case before here in England, and Johnny Depp is currently here. He's been up on stage playing guitar with Jeff Beck and greeting Kate Moss, who became part of this trial as well, backstage afterwards. So there's a lot of drama involved and a lot of, I think, very strong messages that these two are sending each other throughout the whole course of this thing. But in this trial, he did not prevail. What do you make of the fact that he's not there? What message does that send?
Yeah, Martha, that's another great point. I think the fact that Johnny Depp's not in that courtroom means that he feels like he already won this case in the court of public opinion, because there are really two trials that went on in one. The first trial was Depp wanted to clear his name. He wanted to testify in court. He wanted to put Amber Heard on the stand and have her cross-examined to get what he believes is the truth out to the public. And in the court of public opinion, Martha, Johnny Depp has won this case. It's a landslide vote in favor of him winning the case in public opinion. But in the court of law, I really don't think Johnny Depp cares as much whether he wins in the court and it gets a verdict in his favor right now. I don't really care. I don't think Johnny Depp really cares if he gets awarded much money from Amber Heard. He probably wouldn't be able to collect it anyway. But I think it sends a message that he's not there to the jury, that he is a little bit indifferent toward the jury. I think it's a horrible move. I've done over 50 jury trials. I have never not had my client in the courtroom. To me, it's an element of disrespect, especially when he's out in England playing in a band. It's not like he has a health issue, a family emergency. He's just choosing not to be in that courtroom. Not a good sign on his part.
Yeah. It's a really bold move, and the videos are all over the place of him playing on stage the other night, and it sends a message really that he's done with this process. I think that's safe to say.
That's right.
What do you think, though, in terms of the defamation charge? When I went and reread this editorial today that she wrote, it is very broad. And if you're a juror sitting there analyzing, this is what's before you, not all the other, garbage in some cases that was part of this discussion. But did she defame him with this editorial where she talked broadly about being a victim of sexual assault?
Yeah, Martha, so I went back and looked at the verdict form, and it was very helpful for the jury. What it did is it took 3 statements from the op-ed, the headline of the op-ed, and then 2 other statements in the op-ed. So the jury had to rule on just three comments that were in the op-ed. And if they find on either one of any of those 3 statements made by Heard in the op-ed are defamatory, they were made maliciously, and they caused harm, then they can rule in favor of Depp. And Martha, this is what's important. The jury question the other day is important. And I think that's why Depp may have a chance at winning the case, because the jury asked the question, does the entire op-ed need to be false? Do you remember that? That's their question. That signals to me that this jury is thinking that some portion of that op-ed is false. If they're asking, why else would they be asking, does the whole thing have to be false? That leads me to believe, I think this jury has found that some portion, one of those 3 statements was defamatory, and that might lead to Depp winning this case. And if he does win, he's probably going to be awarded next to nothing.
Yeah. All right. Very interesting. Brian, stay with us, because we don't know how long it's going to take for them to fill out this form and arrive at a number. It didn't take them all that long to say that they had come back with a verdict. So perhaps they're in swift agreement on this as well, but we don't know yet. So, Brian, thanks you for being here. Hang with us for a moment here. I want to bring in Janine. Well, there you have it. A very interesting, very long verdict that went through a number of defamation charges and awarded what sounds like to Johnny Depp $10 million in one charge and $5 million in another. Then there's $2 million. It sounds like it's going the other way. But let's bring in Brian Claypool for his thoughts on this. In the beginning of this, Brian, they went through the charges that Johnny Depp brought and essentially said that Amber Heard had acted with actual malice and that she had said false things about Johnny Depp, that the jury felt it was clear that based on her editorial that she was writing specifically about him, and that this was defamatory towards him, and that actual malice was demonstrated in this. So tell me a little bit about what you heard there. Then we've got the other situation with the agent who acted and spoke out in the Daily Mail. But first, let's do Johnny Depp's the reason that we're all here, which is Johnny Depp suing her for $50 million for defamation.
Right, Martha. Yeah, this is an absolute home run for Johnny Depp. I mean, for the jury to find that he prevailed on all 3 of those statements, I thought maybe 1, maybe 2. I knew going in that he was going to win because of that question. Remember, the jury asked the question, hey, do we have to find the whole op-ed false? But look, all 3 statements, and on top of that, Martha, now remember, the jury could have found defamation on 1, 2, or 3 of those, and then no malice, right? They could have found no malice on 2 of the 3, or 1 of the 3. The jury found malice on all 3 of his claims. That is astounding. And then the icing on the cake for Depp, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to Heard, but anytime you get an award of, what was it? Was it $5 million for punitive damages?
$10 million and then 5.
Five on punitive though, Martha. That is a message from the jury to Amber Heard. Trust me, that I've done a lot of civil cases. When you win rarely, first of all, you rarely win on punitive damages in a civil case. It's rare. It's such a high standard. You have to prove the evil that you callous disregard for the person. So that in and of itself, to find punitives, usually juries find a punitive award. If they do, they award a small amount of money. $5 million, man, that's a message to Amber Heard. On the flip side, though, I'm a little surprised that Amber Heard won on 1 of her claims. I thought because the jury found in favor of Depp on all 3, that they would find against Heard on all 3 of her claims.
Yeah, but in that case, it was against an agent of Johnny Depp and nothing against him for the statements that were made in the Daily Mail. So that is a separate issue, a small victory for her side. But as you say, he clearly won over the hearts and minds of this jury. And Also, as you point out, punitive damages. So the first set of damages, the $10 million, is basically you've been defamed. It has an impact on you as an actor, as a public person, $10 million. The punitive is a punishment to her, essentially. It's saying you've got to pull $5 million out of your pocket and pay it to him because you acted with malice and you acted to defame him intentionally. And my mind goes to all of the crazy things that came out. You know, the throwing of the bottle, what happened to his finger. He claimed at one point that she burned him with a cigarette. The bed, you know, what happened in the bed that he said, you know, she said was a product of the dog, and he said, no, I think not. I mean, all of these things added up clearly in the minds of this jury. We hope we're going to hear from some of them on the way out here, and we may also get a statement from Johnny Depp. So I urge everybody to stay with us. But go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. So let's talk about the $10 million too, Martha. I mean, that's not chump change, right? Remember when they hadn't filled it in, we might have thought, oh, they're just going to give him a few bucks because he said in closing. I don't really care about the money, right? But $10 million bucks. I mean, they met him on the middle of what he was making on Pirates of the Caribbean. What he would have made was $22.5 million. So that is not chump change. That's another message to Amber Heard that you can't be doing this. But look, you're exactly right. Just so your viewers know. Punitives hardly ever awarded, and it really is a punishment. In fact, you can't even sue, for example, government entities for punitive damages because that's taxpayer money. It's so rare to get awarded. $5 million is a message. But look, at the end of the day, I think two things really won this case. One was the audio tape. There was an audio tape of Amber Heard. Remember, there was an altercation with the bathroom door, and Amber Heard admitted on that audio tape that she had hit Johnny Depp. She just said, well, I didn't hit you that hard. You're a baby. I mean, she's admitting that she hit him. She's the only person that admitted it. And look, Camille Vasquez, female attorney, cross-examining the female Amber Heard, was brilliant. Martha, I would have never been able to get away with what she got away with, woman to woman, right? Yeah. Like, isn't it true, Miss Heard? You were the abuser. You were the manipulator. You were the monster. If a man had done that in a courtroom, they would have been chastised and would have been characterized as a bully. So that was brilliant. She did a great job.
Yeah, and she also, the two of them were very friendly, you know, affectionate. Like, she'd hug him when he came in. So she's demonstrating with that behavior, you know, this is not a monster. This man is my friend. You know, we're working together. We do expect we're going to hear from some folks as they come out. So we're just going to keep one eye on that. You know, it's interesting to watch this dynamic in the frame of these Me Too stories and cases that we have watched so many of, Brian. And there have been some pieces written that this, you know, puts a bit of a stake in the heart of the notion that you believe all women, that regardless of your sex, you can either be telling the truth or not be telling the truth, depending on any given individual circumstance in these situations. And for a while, that idea was gone. And it appears that with this, some semblance of justice, as it was meted out by this jury, they're the ones who heard this case and gave this decision, appears to exist.
Yeah, Martha, great point. And I think a message that's being sent by the jury to anybody who wants to proclaim that they have been physically or sexually abused is, you better be telling the truth, number one. And here's another downfall for Amber Heard, Martha. She utilized these allegations of sexual abuse and physical abuse to promote a movie. Do you remember that? So typically when you and I are talking about criminal cases, juries always love to have motive, right? And usually there is a motive in a criminal case. You hardly ever get motive in a civil case. But like Judge Janine said, when Amber Heard lied on the stand, Martha, about donating that money, you remember that? Oh, I'm donating, you know, all my $7 million to the ACLU and another charity, and then it was proved that she only donated $350,000, and then she's putting the op-ed out. Remember, Martha, 2 months before the Aquaman movie was coming out. That's her biggest movie. So the argument is you're using the Me Too movement in an abusive way to promote a movie so you can make money. That's really what I think this jury found, and that's what they believed.
fascinating. You see the bottom of the screen. Jury awards $15 million to Depp, $2 million to Heard. But that $2 million comes, I believe, out of the pocket of an agent of Johnny Depp, and he was not found guilty on defamation himself on that part of the equation. Brian, thank you very much. I want to just bring in our correspondent on the scene, Mark Meredith, who